Hey, and welcome to the show. Today's episode, the trap that's killing your team's creativity. My name's Dan. Thanks for being here. Okay, so let's talk about what this is. This is the Portnoy Media Lab. This is our first episode. Thanks for being here. I'm staring at, I've got some notes right here, so I'm going to be looking at that. I'm a little nervous because this is our first YouTube endeavor, but I'm not nervous about this content. I've been doing this for quite a long time, so let's talk about it. So you're a business owner, you're a nonprofit leader, and you're trying to figure out, are we being effective? And the question is probably not. I get a lot of phone calls about things to do, like what are we supposed to be doing? I feel like we're not moving the needle, or our KPIs are telling me we're not moving the needle. So what are we supposed to do? And so let's just talk about what that problem is. Most teams, and your team, doesn't have a creativity problem. That's the good news. You don't have a creativity problem. You have a busy work problem. And that's usually the trap of motion without progress. And so you're going to be doing a lot. Your team is probably doing a lot of things that they don't need to. And we have to figure out what that's going to be. So let's talk about what those things are. Constant motion, posting, all on social media, so many posts. We're posting every day, and we got to make sure we have enough content, and we got to keep going. And that, is it starting to feel or sound like the mouse on the wheel? Well, this could be a problem. Meetings. Your day is full of meetings. Now, meetings aren't bad. You want to build consensus on things. You want to figure out what's going on. You need to check in with a group about what they're doing. Nothing wrong with meetings. I have worked with a nonprofit once that their staff was in 6 to 8 meetings a day. And I was like, how long are these meetings? And they were like 45 minutes. And I said, so, run to the bathroom, capture everything, and get your lunch. Your day's over. I'm like, yeah. And I said, so when do you actually do the work? I said, 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock. I get home, get the kids fed, and then it's pop open the laptop and sit on the couch and start going through my email and figure out what's to do. That's not sustainable. That's not a sustainable thing. So I don't encourage that kind of thing. We want to do this work for a long time. We can't get into a pattern of that. We want to be able to build things and change the world. And we want to change the trajectory of our family because we sold a product that is making such a big difference in people's lives, and it's making a difference in our lives because now we have more money. That's a big deal. That's not going to happen by being in meetings all day. Your reports are just weird. How many times are you just doing some sort of annual report that it's just like months and months and months and months, or we're trying to get this reporting together and it's taking so many resources, and you hate it, and it's just pulling teeth. That's going to be a problem. Reacting to everything is another issue. Like, oh, well, our competitor did a thing. We need to do a thing now. And so everybody's in a huff trying to get that thing out. And I don't know, is that really effective? I'd probably say no. Everything keeps moving, and you're not able to kind of get your grasp on things. But the work keeps getting flatter, safer, less effective. That's pretty normal. There's a piece that you didn't get into this because you wanted to make cruddy work, or you didn't want to put out cruddy stuff. You got into this because you were passionate about a piece, some sort of a thing, some sort of widget, or some sort of service that you're doing, some sort of software, some sort of mission that could change the world. That's why you got into this. But things are not going so well. So let me just tell you that there's no blame in that. There's no blame in being at this point. It's a really good thing. I can't tell you how many times that I'll come into an organization and they'll give me the tour, and they're like, hey, this is going great, and this is going great, and this is going great, and everything's going great. And I have to stop them. Usually usually it's about 30 minutes. I'll do that, and then I'll say, if everything was going so great, I probably wouldn't be here. Can we get into what you think the problems are? Like let's talk seriously. So there's no blame in this kind of thing. I think there's that, like, you start a business and it has to go great all the time. As business owners, we know that's not the case. There are years that are great. There are years that are not. There are months that are great. There are months that are not. There are days, there are weeks that are great and not. And it's totally normal, and it's totally fine. And that's a thing I love to do. I don't mind, like, hey, If things were going great, you wouldn't need somebody like me. So I love getting into the mix with things. So there's no blame. And it isn't because people don't care. That's the other big thing. You're not in the situation because you don't care enough. And that's really the big thing. Companies and organizations, they'll start that white knuckle situation. Like they just keep trying harder and harder. And that's not the issue. It's not because you're not trying hard. You are. It's not because people don't care. You do. I know all of that. So we have to get into the real issue, which is that constant motion replaces thinking. So we're not being as effective because we're constantly moving, because it's so important to get to the next thing that I haven't thought through the strategy of the thing, that I have to put out so much in social media every day. And that's what's driving it, instead of we should put out things that are great. And that's actually it. That's it. We should put out things that are great, and we should make things that are really great or really terrible, because that's what the internet celebrates, right? The awesome, the awesomely terrible. It's the way it goes. We also need to make sure that activity hasn't become a substitute for clarity. And that's another one, that we are just moving, and we're forgetting why we did this and why this is important. It's a really important thing to figure out. So what happens if this is the case for you? Creativity doesn't vanish overnight, and it slowly gets squeezed out, right? So there you are. It's 6 months later. Your team isn't super creative. What are you going to do? So today we're going to be talking about the busy work trap, why it feels productive, because it does, and why teams fall into it without noticing it, and why it's killing the work that they're trying to protect. So that's what we're going to get into. So if being busy actually worked, most creative teams would be thriving, right? Because I bet your team is killing it in terms of productivity. You're being very active. People are working extra hours. They're not going on vacation. They're staying in the mix. They're working 15, 18-hour days, and it's just not doing it. That's not the problem. That's not the problem. So it is a problem. I think that burnout is real, and you shouldn't have your teams be doing this, even if they are salaried. It's just not a great way. There's no prize for a heart attack. There's no prize because you're working 80 hours a week. I mean, all the data says you're less effective anyway. So don't do that to yourselves. It's not sustainable. We need to work in such a way that it's sustainable. That's really important. You're probably exhausted. If your teams are working really hard and you're working 15-hour days, you're exhausted. Okay, so we have to take that in consideration. How long is it going to take for you to reset? Today's episode isn't about productivity hacks or working faster. I'm not going to be talking about that because, again, sustainable. We're going to be talking about how activity is not a substitute for progress. That's what we really want to get into, is progress and what's costing the work. Okay, so let's figure that substitute for progress issue. Why is this important? So let me explain why now and why this is important for you. Everyone feels overwhelmed right now, right? You're feeling overwhelmed because you're working so hard. You've got endless inputs, right? You're constantly like, I got to do this and I got to figure out this. And there's everything's on fire, constant urgency. That's a pretty normal thing. And there's no time to really think about things. Platforms remember motion, not meaning, right? TikTok is starting to reward you because you post consistently, not because you post great things. They just reward, okay, great. This will occupy people's time. This will occupy people's time, including yours. Visibility beats clarity is what a thing that kind of the social media platforms are all about. And speed beats intention. I don't think that's the truth, but it does. If you're quick to market, then you get a whole bunch of eyeballs on things. If it's done terribly, that's not going to be so great. So we need to find some sort of happy medium here. We're not going to be talking about a productivity episode. That's not what today is. It's not about calendars and tools and hacks. We want to make sure that motion has not replaced your progress. Okay. We want to make sure that that's the case today, that we are not doing things that are just for the sake of things. We don't want to have action for action's sake. We need to figure out why that's important. I do want to let you know that this isn't theory for me, that I've spent decades, working with companies and organizations, working on these kinds of things and having tough conversations. They're not easy, but when we do, I don't mind sitting in that with you and having that kind of tough conversation, and then that tension, and then we're going to have breakthrough. It happens every time. It's amazing. So we're going to be talking about battle tested things. The system that I'm going to talk to you about, it isn't just in one episode, so I apologize. It's not like, and here's your 12 things, and then we're going to be able to fix it. We want to fix your business. We don't want to give you 6 things and then you go do it, and then you're like, what are the next 6 things? I'm not really into that. So that doesn't really work, I don't think, in the real world. I've spent so many years and decades talking with people that it got me into producing films and marketing and campaigns and commercials and radio, as a result, to help my clients, because it reduced communication overhead. It was so much easier to work with an organization that needed some help and tried to figure things out, and bringing in less people after the fact of like, oh, okay, here's our problem. Here's our issue at the core. Now we're going to build a campaign in and around that, and we're going to launch it. So I stay at the center. It's worked out pretty well for me. I've also worked inside teams that care deeply, but still felt stuck. I've worked with large teams, small teams. I've worked with just the solopreneur, and I've worked with artists who are trying to become creative directors, and they're trying to figure out their business and how they can become more attractive to producers as they're trying to move forward, that kind of thing. So that's really tiny to multi-million-dollar organizations and companies that are doing huge volume of sales. And I've been a maker of these things, of making the campaigns and the process, and I can show you a bunch of those. I'm sure we'll go through them. But I've also been the marketer of these things, like somebody else has made it, and now I've got to figure out, okay, how are we going to bring this to market? How are we going to make this look really great? How is it going to tell that story effectively through all of our different channels? And how is it going to better the brand and help people at the same time? That's a really important thing. I've also watched motion replace thinking on both sides, in the sense that makers are like, hey, I got to quickly make this. I got to get this done, and we got to get it out. I've seen marketers also need to, hey, we got to get this to market absolutely quickly. It doesn't matter. Push. And the critical thinking might go out the window. And so it's just important that we keep that in mind. And that's why I wanted to start here, because we want to define the trap. Okay. The problem that is, I want to give you some language that you can reuse as we continue to have this conversation for the next several weeks. Activity without progress, output without outcomes, and motion without meaning. Okay. These are the things that we want to stay away from. We want to, here's some ways that this can look like. It can be posting to stay active, to not say something really great, but we're just posting. So we go into Canva real fast, and we put a little something together, and we make a post of several things. Is it really saying anything? No, but we're staying top of mind. And don't get me wrong, like, top of mind is good in terms of marketing, but I don't know. I would rather have things kind of planned out and say, let's be a lightning bolt, or I want to just be a spear. And I want to be the tip of the spear as we cut through a whole bunch of things and be very effective. That's what I find works out pretty well. Dashboards and like we're pulling KPIs. They don't change decisions. The content that's built for algorithms, that is built for algorithms, not people. So we can get some incorrect information if if it's being interpreted incorrectly, because those dashboards, we can kind of make it say anything that we want. And the thing that I can't stand, and I see this all the time, is that we get some KPIs together. I often see this from marketing companies, that they will then blame the audience. Well, the audience didn't get it. Well, guys, I'll just be blunt. if a group of people doesn't understand their message, it's not their fault. It's yours. Like that's how it is. Like, it's not very popular, and I've definitely gone toe to toe with more than a couple of marketing companies and said that. And well, that doesn't make a lot of friends, but it is the reality. And I'd rather be truthful. And I mean, I can understand things, but I just can't go with, because we've made a giant mistake, I'm going to blame the audience and it's their fault. No, it's not. It's yours. It's ours. I would even say so much as it's our fault. Okay, I'm working for you and it's not landing. Well, guess whose fault it is? Mine. So I have to iterate to make sure that they're getting it. And that's how we find out. So those dashboards are great as long as we're being really truthful about it. The other thing is, this whole process isn't about laziness. No one's being lazy. This kind of behavior is again, if we think from a brain science standpoint, is we want to reduce risk. So people get into that mode of, we have to do things over and over again. And I'm going to post and I'm going to post and I'm going to post. And I'm not going to, then I'm going to be able to sleep tonight. I have to get through a quick piece. I have to do this email really fast, so I can relax that we did get something out. Is it something I want to read? No. Is it something anybody else wants to read? No. But I got it out, so that was effective. No, it wasn't effective, but it was busy. You were able to get that that way. So, we don't want to make those kinds of choices. We want to not check boxes because they feel safe. We don't want to do something so it reduces anxiety, and we don't want visible effort. It can protect people, like in their team, like, oh, well, I just did the thing, and so I'm worthwhile and I'm part of your team. And it's like, yes, but let's be smart. Let's be smart. Let's think through what we're doing. Why is this important? Is this our best foot forward? Is this the best way for us to communicate our vision? And so the thing that I would say is that there's a cost to doing things this way. Creative exhaustion, right? Because you're white knuckling everything and everyone's just trying to do 15-hour days. No, teams get cynical. That's a real thing. And cynicism is just cancer for creativity, I think. It just doesn't help. It also makes makers disengage. And that's not a place where we want to be. And we don't want marketers turning that thing into noise, because they're just, I think a lot of marketing can be noise, and you don't want your brand on that. You do not. And then, because essentially your trust is then eroded from your customer, your consumer, your donor. You don't want that. You don't want that at all. It's no fun. So when we get into this kind of thing, remember that good work doesn't just disappear. It's actually getting squeezed out because of the busy work thing, and we're being busy. And I have to tell you, a long time ago, I was working, and we were getting into the weeds, and we were just helping all these people, and it was great. And it was I was doing sales at the time, and it was busy. It was absolutely busy, and we had enough staff, and I couldn't figure out why there was a problem. And the problem was, I had one staff person who she had a piece of paper, and she just kept walking across the room. She made it looked like she was busy. And when I'd glance up, I was like, oh, she's helping people. She wasn't helping anybody. She was freaked out, and this is what she did. She just grabbed a piece of paper and walked back and forth. Once I had a little vision, a little time to myself, I could see that's what she was doing. Well, we had to make a change, because that wasn't going to work. So this is the same idea that's happening at a grander scale, maybe in your business, maybe with your organization. We want to make sure that we're effective over activity. We want to make sure that we're making fewer, better decisions. That's really important. And we need to choose what not to do. Remember, strategy is choosing what to do, but it's also choosing what not to do. And that's a really important part, because a lot of people will be like, we're going to do a thing. And it's like, that's great. And we're off to the races. But then they're like, yeah. And then things get co-opted. I mean, if you've ever seen a focus group, it's the funniest thing in the world, is that like, okay, we're going to introduce this and we're going to introduce this. Which one is better? And they'll be like, can we take both of them together? It happens every time. It's so very funny. What if we did a hybrid of these 3 ideas and then everyone has equity in it? And it's like, well, it might not be the best. And that's a normal thing, but we have to be choosing what not to do. It's really important. I think of marketing as kind of like a stewardship thing, not just output. So it's important that we get huge bang for the buck. And I think digitally, if you're not doing a 10-to-1 ROI on your investment for marketing, I don't know what you're doing, because digitally speaking, to get back $10 for every dollar you're spending, I don't think that's that hard. I mean, it is. I'm not saying it's easy. I don't think it is the hardest thing in the world if we're being effective, if we're thinking through. So, the opposite of motion without progress isn't rest. Okay. The opposite of motion without progress isn't rest. It is what? The opposite of motion without progress isn't rest, is motion with progress. So that it's not, again, this is not rocket science, but the thing that's tough as a business owner, and I will just say, I understand a lot here. And I am very, compassionate to your stance, or your nonprofit, that it is hard to be in business right now. And I've thought that, like, I think a post-COVID world has made things much tougher for business owners, for nonprofits. And I think that's real. That's super real. So pat yourself on the back. You're doing it. Nice job. Now let's be effective with it. Okay. And, we'll be going from there. So this series that I'll be doing over the next several weeks is going to be, how do we unpack the noise and systems and clarity? How do we get to that clarity? Some episodes are going to be conversations with guests. I have some guests who are coming. Some will just be me. And so we'll be talking about how we get things made, or how we get things to market, and how we get to be effective. There's no hype. There's no shortcuts here. I apologize. If you want that, I mean, I'm sure there's some videos that are somewhere that you could watch. But I will tell you, these are field tested things, and I know that they work. So if you stick with me just a little bit, I'm going to make it worth your while. I promise. So please, because this is YouTube, leave a comment. And, or, if you're listening to this on the podcast, message me. My email is dan@portnoymediagroup.com. You can just talk to me, send me a message. You can also check out things like our, at the website I have, portnoymedia.com. There's /resources. You can check out the things there. I've got a lot of things for you to check. Some are free. Like, it's not just, go check out my stuff. There's a lot of resources that are free that are there right now. But the big thing is, if this has resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel. I'm giving this a go this year. We'll see how this goes. Since I turned 50 in November, I have been making a lot more videos this year. That's been a really big thing, because I've been very precious, and I'm trying to push myself with making smaller videos. So if you check out my social, I'm doing a lot that way. In this next episode, though, I'm going to show you how your teams can use themes as a North Star. So we're going to talk about, how do you get into that mission and vision and your core values, and use that like the Rock of Gibraltar to bash all of your efforts against. And if they stand up, that's going to be your goal. So that's what we're going to be working on next time. The other thing is, where do you see motion without progress right now? Encouragement and maybe a little homework. It's Wednesday right now. Friday, can you take an hour, maybe before work? Grab yourself a notebook. These are what I love to use. These Moleskines, the larger ones. But it could literally be anything. I've got some examples here. Grab a notebook, get a pen, get off by yourself, put some music on. Make sure it has no words so it doesn't clog up your brain, and think about what you're doing with your mission and your vision. Get back to basics. This is the fundamental stuff that is really important. So that's the homework I want to give you. If it isn't Friday, maybe Monday, maybe over the weekend. Just give yourself an hour and say, why did I start doing this? Why did I start my own business? It was to do X. It was because I wanted Y. It was because I wanted to change the world. Maybe that's why your nonprofit started. That's probably a real thing, and we should tap into it. So I've got a couple things as we close. Where do you see your motion without progress right now? So part of that homework, Where's the part that there's a whole bunch of movement? Maybe it's a place where you're throwing a bunch of resources and it's just not moving it. And that's an important thing to know as we move forward. So if you've got questions, please write them in the comments. I will answer them. I promise you. Or if we've helped you name something maybe you've been feeling, let me know. I would love to know that too. I've got tools and frameworks on the site again that you can check out, things that I actually use with my clients and teams. And it's no opt-in stuff, and it's not this whole like bait and switch thing. Go check it out. There's a bunch of things for you to check out. I've been doing this a long time. I wrote a book more than a decade ago about this very stuff that I've been doing with companies and nonprofits for a couple decades. Check out portnoymedia.com/resources. And you can also check out the blog on Tuesday. So the way I'm trying to think of this is on Tuesday, I will be kind of introducing the idea that we're going to talk about on Wednesday. And then on Wednesday, here's the podcast. And then on Thursday, it's reflecting on it a little more personally on the Substack, on my Substack, which there's the links for that. And with that, thank you for checking out this episode. I hope this has got you thinking a little bit, because this is more of a thinking episode. We'll have a whole bunch of action coming in the coming weeks. Thanks so much. Please subscribe. Talk to you soon. Rooting for you. Have a good one. Thanks for watching this video. If this has helped you, there's another video for you to check out right over here. And if you like this channel, if you like this kind of thing, please subscribe. I post new conversations and field notes every week on our podcast, the Portnoy Media Lab. Thanks so much. See ya.